All right, so for most of SEO's history, the goal was pretty straightforward: rank higher. So if you ranked well, you were visible. If you weren't visible, you worked to improve your rankings. So the conversations at SEOFOMO and SMX Advanced last week suggested that the relationship between rankings and visibility is becoming more complicated. So in Dawn Anderson's keynote, she focused heavily on retrieval systems, RAG, context graphs, and the architecture that supports modern AI experiences. And one observation that stood out was her statement that many AI failures are actually retrieval failures. So if a system can't retrieve the right information, it can't generate the right answer. And that same idea did appear elsewhere throughout the week. For example, Davies discussed retrieval behavior and how AI systems gather supporting information before constructing answers. And Will Scott reminded the audience that ranking well doesn't necessarily mean that you'll be selected for an AI-generated response. Now, Sam Torres approached the problem from a different angle. Her presentation focused on the rendering gap between websites and AI crawlers. So she highlighted how content that is visible to users and eventually visible to Google may not always be visible to AI systems. So if a system can't see the content, it can't retrieve it. And if it can't retrieve it, then it can't recommend it. So that's why I think retrieval is becoming such an important concept. A page can rank well and never influence an AI generated answer. A source can influence an answer without being the highest ranking result. So visibility increasingly depends on whether information is accessible, whether it is retrievable, whether it is understandable, and whether it is useful within the process that generates the response. So don't get me wrong here, rankings still matter, traffic still matters, but rankings are increasingly becoming an input rather than the finish line. So understanding what happens after you rank may be just as important as understanding how to rank in the first place. So I explore this idea much more deeply in my latest article on the major themes that emerge from SEO FOMO and SMX Advanced 2026, and I'll link to it below in the comments.